All right, guys. So, Tedertainment Tonight. This is your segment. So I just stole your thunder, Ted. Well,
Go
you were
for
looking
it.
to finish that Budweiser, so I
That's
figured
right.
I'd get it going for you. So, the Oscars, obviously. Well, I was going to ask. So, kind of a couple things. So, Oscars were last night,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of a shame because Will Smith is one of my favorite actors of all time. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is one of my favorite TV shows, sitcoms of all time. I love it. I've seen every episode 100 times. One of my favorites. I love all of his movies. One of my favorite actors. I'm reading his book right now, Will, that he put out. It's fantastic. It's hard right now with the little one and, to find like multiple hours at a time to like knock out a book. So it's kind of taking me a little while to get through it, but it's fantastic. One of my favorite actors and like music. I love his music too. I'm just a huge Will Smith fan. It's kind of a shame that he hasn't won an Oscar until this year because he's been in some fantastic movies and he's been up for some that were probably worthy of winning. It was kind of known that he was going to win one for his role as, the Williams sisters' dad in the movie that he did end up winning Best Actor for. But the storyline, obviously, I'm taking a while to get to it, is the
Take your time.
The slap heard around the world. And, I wasn't watching live. So that's what I was going to say. Like, Ted, you being out on West Coast time, it was easy for you to watch live. I bet if you were still in Michigan, you probably would have DVR'd it and caught up in the morning. And because I know your methods now, but being out on the West Coast, you probably were watching live, I would assume. And so I wake up and I've got like 25 texts on my phone at like 6 a.m. because, I'm waking up with the kid or whatever. I'm like, what the hell happened? And like 4 of my buddies sent me like the link of Will Smith slaps Chris Rock. And at first I was like, it's probably some bit. So then I watch it. And my first reaction was, it does kind of seem like a little bit of a setup. Like, I don't know. This seems a little staged. They're both comedians and actors, whatever. But then I go and watch his acceptance speech when he does get the Best Actor award. And he was pretty heartfelt, pretty genuine. You could almost see like a little remorseful, but also still like standing up for himself. I don't know about you guys. Like, yes, and he even mentioned it in the media world. If you're a musician, if you're an actor, whatever you are, even us, we're putting ourselves out there. You have to have thick skin because you're going to have people hate on you. You're going to have people criticize you. You're going to have people take shots at your family or, whatever. There is a line to be crossed. And his wife, Jada Pinkett, she does have a medical condition. And that's why, she basically doesn't have any hair. And I don't know what you guys think. If you think the joke that he made, G.I. Jane 2, one, I don't even think it was that funny, but I do think that was like crossing the line. Should Will Smith have went up and smacked the hell out of him? Maybe not. And he even admitted that, like it was so wild. But all that being said, it's kind of a shame that is going to be that image of him smacking Chris Rock is what everyone's going to remember from the Oscars, the year that he won his first Oscar as Best Actor. And he even said it. He was like, I hope the Academy invites me back and, stuff like that. So
he slapped the absolute shit out of him. I don't know. To be honest, the most impressive part of that whole thing was how Chris Brown didn't like square up at Rock beforehand, and was just was slapped and almost like didn't even have a reaction. Like he clearly had whiplash, then he just snapped right back into it. And the only thing that would have made it better if he would have just been flawless, getting into the break. He literally, like I said, had the shit slapped out of him, so he couldn't really function right. But no, that was awesome. What a moment! Is that the craziest thing you guys have ever seen on TV in your whole life?
Well, I think it's one of them for sure. And to get back to what Matt was setting up, being on the West Coast here, we were out to Stephanie's house. We got home. My sister Jenny flipped on the TV. And Will Smith was doing his acceptance speech.
Oh.
And we didn't know what the heck was going on. Then I hopped on my phone, looked at Twitter, and people are saying, did I just see that? Did Will Smith just slap Chris Rock? Was that real? And then now that I've seen all the behind the scenes uncut stuff, oh my God. It's one of the most bizarre things I have ever seen. And you can look at it in a lot of different ways. Yeah, he definitely dissed his wife. And the backstory is this isn't the only time that's happened. This happened in 2016 where he made some kind of flippant comment. He was hosting the Oscars, and he said something about Jada Pinkett Smith and said, she's in the house. She'll never be here to accept an award. Okay, something like that. It was a joke. I think that burnt Will back then. And then all of a sudden he sees him criticizing his wife's hair or lack of hair because of a medical condition. He just lost it.
But here's if you watch the clip, it's annoying because, and this is what kind of ruins the whole Will Smith, like just being like a alpha about the whole situation, I guess, is because he was laughing at the joke. And clearly she said something to him probably about laughing or something. I mean,
I think it digested.
And
I wonder, that's what I wonder if like, I was actually talking to my wife about it, before we started recording. I wonder if he like laughed and didn't even really hear what he said. You're at that thing. Everyone just feeds off the audience. Ha ha ha, joke.
Right.
I wonder if it then like registered with him. Oh, and then he looked over at her and she's obviously fuming.
Right.
And then he snapped and was like, oh, that's what he said. The funny, not funny, I guess, part is how he strolled up. Will Smith is cool. Will Smith's the coolest guy out there.
It's like
strolls up, he's like fixing his suit. Chris Rock's just sitting there. He goes, whap. And then he just turns around, fixes his suit, walks back to his seat. It was like, what just happened?
It was like a Matrix.
And then he screams going off. Like,
the least amount of movement required for that slap. It was impressive. I think that, do you guys think that's it has to be a crazier moment than the Kanye West, Taylor Swift Oscars things? One thing I will say before you guys answer that, what a missed opportunity it would have been to have Ted watching that on tape delay the next morning. What the hell just happened? I could just picture his reaction in the basement at 5 a.m.
Yeah, I would have to wake my wife up to come down and watch it right then and there. But I think it's the all-time Oscar moment. A bad moment, but it's one going to be, the most memorable one of all time. There was the one you brought up. There was Marlon Brando won the award and sent up a female American, Native American up there to make a little speech about that. But this was something. Oh, there was a streaker one year too. David Niven had a classic line saying, well, he doesn't have much to show or something along those lines. But this was incredible. And back to what Jared said at the beginning, I still cannot believe Chris Rock took that swat and just stood there and put his hands back behind his back. And you're right. If he would have come up with a clever comeback immediately, it would have been an all-timer. Yeah. But he still did good. But
he did with his first reaction with the Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. But but I think he was sort of, I thought he just thought that was going to be it. And I think he would have been totally fine if Will Smith had never like been yelling at him. But I think that's what really rattled him was when he's like, man, he's like legitimately probably going to kill me after this show.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. When he multiple times said, keep my wife's effing name out of your mouth.
Right.
I think Chris Rock probably was a little bit like, one thing about it too is, so in his, like, people are calling him corny or whatever. They've called him corny his whole career, but because in his acceptance speech, he talked about he wanted to be like a vessel for love, and he a lot of other stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, but you just smacked the hell out of Chris Rock. Like, what are you talking about? It is one thing that like if you know his like story, and if you've watched any of like he does a lot of motivational speeches and stuff. He does talk about that a lot, and in his book, he talked about a lot. Like he was raised, a little rough, not like terrible in West Philly, but he talked about his dad was very similar. He calls him Daddy-O. And his dad was very similar, would have done the same thing. If someone said something like that about Will's mom, his dad would have done the same thing. So it's kind of, like, I think it is genuine. Like people are taking a shot at him for his acceptance speech and saying like, dude, you just assaulted Chris Rock. And now you're saying all this stuff. Like you're trying to, preach love and you want to be the river for love and all those things that he was saying. I think he stood up for his wife. I mean, like there's a line you cross. Like, if she didn't have a medical condition and it was just like maybe her choice to have that hair, maybe it would have been a little different. But she's even talked about how like self-conscious she is about how she has to have her hair like that. And then, stood up for his wife. And, some people, maybe that's not the route they would go, but it's also like people need to realize like, it's kind of like the whole going back to the Juwan Howard thing. Some funny stuff I saw, like people saying like Will Smith was trying out for the movie about Juwan Howard with that slap, but like it's kind of going back to the whole Juwan Howard thing. Like people need to like, I don't know if it's a society thing. We could do a whole segment on this, Ted, if you wanted to, but like people need to know that their words and actions, like there's consequences to it. It's kind of like the whole thing with the Wisconsin coaches and stuff storming in and putting their hands on Michigan players. That's not okay. And Juwan Howard reacted the way that he did. He did apologize. Chris Rock, like, yes, there's jokes, but there are some jokes that cross the line. And so there's going to be consequences. You make a joke about Will Smith's weight, he's going to smack the hell out of you. And now you know it. So I just think like some of that's been lost. People think you can just make jokes and do whatever you want. And if you get punched or something, that like you're the one that's like the victim. And it's like, no, man, you caused it. You know, I don't know.
So So you're saying you're basically on Will Smith's side with this whole thing. Here's what I'll say. I think both of them are kind of winners in this situation, to be honest. It's not going to kill Will Smith's career. He's probably going to be in the next $1 billion movie tomorrow, probably casted for it tomorrow. And if anything, it gave Chris Rock's career a nice little boost when he probably needed it most, when he was maybe sliding down a little bit. So I think both of them, if you ask them, like, hey, do you want this to happen? I think both of them would be like, let's probably roll with it. I mean, in the long term, I think it was good for both of them. I mean, like I said, Will Smith maybe probably would take it back, but when he looks back on this in 5 years, it's not all a bad thing, man. I really do think that it's an all-time moment. I think both guys, I could see both their point of views for why he was pissed and why Chris Rock would probably be like, dude, just freaking calm down. It wasn't that bad of a joke. I can see both sides, but all in all, I think both are winners in the long run.
Can you justify, though, this is how I want to put it out there, because this is the biggest topic, is whether Chris Rock said something towards his wife or not, which we know he did, is there any justification for physical contact on words? That's the big debate, isn't it? I mean, was there a better way for Will Smith to handle it? Of course. You do it backstage, or you walk up on stage and say, listen, dude, take it back right now or something. You don't just, slap a guy across the head.
To be honest, I think Will Smith wishes he would have just slapped him and then not said another word. Like it would have looked like so flawlessly, like almost choreographed, and he still would have had the opportunity to slap him. I think that would have been the ideal situation, was just slap him. Chris Rock makes a comment about him getting the shit slapped out of him by Will Smith, and then move on. It would have been all time. Right. He was still clearly pretty upset for that.
Yeah.
Well, it's all like everyone has their own opinion on how to handle things. I mean, Ted, you grew up back in the day that's how you handle things. Someone said something to you on the playground, you probably got into a fist fight. If someone made fun of your girlfriend, you got in a fist fight. Nowadays, you teach your kids and stuff. You use your words and, talk it out and stuff like that. Will Smith went back to his West Philly days.
He did. So, well, we talked about it here today. And I know myself Chris Rock handled it awful well, because if I'm getting slapped in front of millions of people on national television, once that slap knocks my head to the side and I come conscious again, I'm going after him. That's all there is to it. Immediately. I'm not standing there.
Will Smith's a built dude, man.
It wouldn't matter. I'd take an ass kicking. I'd take an ass kicking for that, Jared. There's no way I'm standing there and taking that. No way.
Yeah.
I'm more just shocked and sort of like you said, it's kind of a fight or flee instinct right in that situation. I think he just was like, flee, like let's not blow this way out of control.
I don't know how you can do that in that situation. It's like I said, kudos to him. That took some self-control.
Pretty wild though, and that it all boils down to like, I'm sure Will Smith's remorseful. It does, like I kind of set it all up. It kind of stinks that it takes a little bit away from him winning Best Actor. He finally got himself an Oscar. So that's what's cool.
You guys seen that movie? I've actually King Richard. It's basically him portraying Venus and Serena's father growing up.
I have not seen it, but I read some reviews on it that weren't that good. But maybe his acting job was good. I don't know.
I thought, didn't they just say that they're debating taking away his Oscar because of his actions? I thought I just read that on Twitter.
No.
I saw some stuff about that, but I think it would have to be much worse. And I saw some people say, you guys know for sure that sometimes people just get an Oscar because they haven't got one. Yeah. Like people have said, like, how did he win an Oscar for this and not for like Pursuit of Happiness or 7 Pounds or Ali? It probably was just like his time. It was his turn to win one, so this is what he won one for.
Yeah.
It's actually gonna be a huge movie when it drops. Now I already knew they announced it. I Am Legend 2 with Michael B. Jordan. So believe me, his career's not going anywhere. He's not totally a crazy person. If anyone really got shafted in that whole situation, it was Chris Brown. Or not Chris Brown, Chris Rock. I keep saying that. It was Chris Rock, because if you saw Will Smith afterward, Will Smith was like still partying it up, spraying on people. So it happened, and he just kept living his life. Whereas Chris Rock's probably gonna have to relive this for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
You don't think his comedian buddies are going to make fun of him, do you?
I mean,
he's
if anything,
got a whole new career like arc where he just uses that whole situation as like the root of his next like 10 stand-ups. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say make a joke about it.
Sure.
Him getting into that, Will Smith smacked him at the Oscars. Like no one else can say that. You make a joke about it.